Fantastic, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. Today's going to be a nice little lesson for you on the HPA axis, a new paradigm in chronic stress management. Now, a lot of you have been following FDN for a long, long time, and I'm going to cover a lot of ground, as you're probably used to. And we're going to get started right away. We're just giving people another second here um, to come on. We have a boatload. I mean, this is one of the most at least registered for webinars we've had in a long time. So I'm just going to ask you guys if you would just, raise your hand or say something in the chat box or something that you can hear me okay. And if one or two of you do that, then I'll know that, okay, I see Sue, thank you for that. And oh boy, a whole bunch of people, Abby. Yeah, so thank you. We're going to have a great day. I hope that wherever you are in the world, that it's bright and sunny. And if it isn't bright and sunny outside, well, at least you can carry some of it around with you from the inside. Right now, as I look out my window in Southern California, I can't find a cloud. Wait, there's one way over there by the mountain. All right, so anyway, we're going to have a good time and a good day. And it's really my honor and pleasure to be here with you. And I know I've got some good friends listening, so hi, good friends. And we're all friends anyway, right? So again, I keep seeing the number just keep going up and up and up and up. So giving people another second to attend. This is a really incredible subject, the HPA axis, because there's so much new research. We've been doing this for almost 20 years now. We started out with the old, plain old adrenal stress profiles. Now there's so many ways to look at this stuff. Matter of fact, back then, saliva testing wasn't even really considered scientifically valid, and now, of course, it's the go-to in most cases for this kind of work. There's certain hormones that you just can't measure in urine or in blood. You can't get a good look at it. So we're going to be looking at some test results, I promise you, some brand new test results, tests that weren't on the market even just a few months ago. And we're going to also learn, it's very, very important for you if you're a health coach, a nutritionist, a personal trainer, someone who's a do-gooder like me who wants to see some good done in the world, but you're not a physician. That's okay, because there are certain things that health companies all have in common. I'm going to give you a new way of looking at disease. We show you how to end the cycle of trial and error and fill the needs gap for your clients and yourself, and show you that you may never find the root cause of a health problem, but you don't really need to, because you can have an effect upon it. And which labs and natural protocols. We won't do a lot on protocols today, but there's more of these webinars and things coming. I'm very willing to do them in a series and really get into it for all you. And above all, health coaches like me, we use general principles to get people better, and that outperforms specific treatments. And I'm going to teach you why that works. So I see that attendees are still popping in left and right here. I want to also guarantee you that we do not use a medical approach. I've been doing very serious health coaching, nutrition, and lifestyle behavioral work for almost 20 years. I've yet to cross the line and practice medicine. I know exactly what I'm doing and how to do it, and I can make sure that you don't have those worries either. Medical treatment is for specific diseases. Well, I don't want anything to do with diseases or diagnosis. I don't do that. And most of the time that's done for managing symptoms only. Now, in what I have developed, we're called Functional Diagnostic Nutrition, or FDN, we work in a non-specific manner, restoring function, returning body to normal health and vitality. Basically, we work on everything at the same time. And medical treatment depends, of course, on mostly drugs and surgery. That's mostly what it's all about. And that's not always a bad thing. If you need them, go get them. But what we do is we depend on behavior modifications and natural therapies that are included in our Dress for Health Success program. Now, again, I'm not going to have a lot of time today to go into that. That's our very well-known, worldwide known DRESS, diet, rest, exercise, stress reduction, and supplements. We don't medicate, we educate, right? We're the original teachers. We're the teachers. So the public is facing Again, I see a lot of people just keep rolling in here, so come on, folks, keep rolling in, watch your screen, and you're going to learn a lot. I'm going to go very, very fast because I'm just on a roll this morning. And all of these health complaints here have something in common. They're all the result of hidden stressors and dysfunction in the body. These actually aren't the problem. It's whatever allowed them to come about in the body that is the problem, and that's what we're calling today hidden stressors and dysfunctions. So real quickly, I'm going to go through my very infamous, a lot of you have seen this before, please bear with me. I always do it slightly differently. You're kind of like Ray Charles. He says, I've never sang the song Georgia the same way twice. And so we have this big organ up in our skulls. It's called the brain. It allows us to think, and it connects us to our bodies through the blood, through the nerves, through energy flow. And it is responsible. These things together are how we function. The body functions. The heart, lungs, liver, pancreas, kidneys, adrenals, ovaries, testes, if you got them, whatever it might be. Function is what it's all about. And as my good buddy Bill Wolcott now always say, look, you're designed really well. Every cell knows what its job is. You don't have to teach it what to do. It's designed for 100% function. And if you were designed, if we are, and I believe we are, and you were functioning that way, and we call that normal, would you be healthy? Yeah, you'd be healthy. That's what health is all about, normal function. You'd be in a state of ease, and otherwise known as homeostasis. So you're in this state. And there's an important little concept here to consider. Vital reserve also could be called metabolic reserve, strategic reserve. It's a God-given, sort of concept that you've got life. There's life in you, and it expresses itself. And so it wants to be healthy. It wants to be normal. And so as long as you're still fogging a mirror, if you're breathing, you've got some vital reserve. When you're dead, that's no more vital reserve for you. Now, is that how people show up in our office? Well, of course not. People always come in with these things. They're called complaints, or symptoms. So something obviously is wrong. It shouldn't be a symptom if you're functioning normally in a state of ease, right? And the trick is that you actually aren't at ease anymore. There is some kind of dis-ease process ongoing and malfunction. There's got to be some loss, maybe not 100%. We don't know which cells, tissues, organs, or systems are malfunctioning at this point, but we know that it's what's going on and that symptoms are common but should never be considered normal. And what do people typically want? Well, they come in for, I want to just say that there's a new term. So we've got this state of metabolic chaos. When you have the body breaking down in all those different ways, you've got disease processes producing symptoms. Because it's so complex, it's infinitely complex. And there's no one test you can run that'll figure all of it out. We're 50 years away from, peeing in a cup and putting it in a machine and having that tell you everything is wrong with you. It doesn't happen, right? So I just call it metabolic chaos. So people come in this state of malfunction, disease, and metabolic chaos, and they want relief basically for their symptoms. Most of the time, if you're in pain, you want something to make it go away, and there's really nothing wrong with that. But as you can see, if you only treat the symptoms, they're gone, but the disease processes, the malfunction is actually probably getting worse as you speak. Now, if it gets worse enough and the symptoms come back, surgery is probably the next medical type thing. This is what we said medicine depends upon. Well, we now know, and you guys all know, and again, this is just repeating for the record, that symptoms are a signal that something is wrong. No symptom is normal. Symptoms may go away or decrease with relief care, but may come back with a vengeance, or they'll appear as new symptoms. Something will pop up somewhere else. Now, our paradigm focuses on resolving that metabolic chaos while providing some intelligent relief care. Again, nothing wrong with relief care. If you gotta, go ahead. Just try not to hurt yourself in the process. Now, when it comes to what we like to do instead is sort out the metabolic chaos. And that can, the components of that generally can be categorized into mental and emotional type stressors and contributors to metabolic chaos, biomechanical, trauma type stressors, or contributors to metabolic chaos. These things build up over a long time, and sometimes they get really acute. Well, what I did with in the clinic for all those years is specialize more in the biochemical hidden stressors and contributors to metabolic chaos, until metabolic chaos itself actually becomes the problem. Now, we talked about relief care a bit. Now we're going to talk about corrective care, trying to fix the problem. So if it's mental emotional, I refer out. If it's biomechanical trauma, I refer out to chiropractors and people like that. But when it comes to this area that's so hidden and so deep and so complex, we have a way of looking for and identifying healing opportunities. Again, there's no one test that'll tell you everything that's wrong. You have to just have a system. I created a system to help the body regain normal function. And when function returns to normal, as you can see in the center circle there, or oval, well, then disease fades away. The body returns to a state of ease when you identify and correct the malfunctions. Health is restored, symptoms disappear, complaints are often permanently resolved. And I'm talking about, I've seen permanently resolved things that were diagnosed by a physician as here's your disease, label it, here's your medication, and if that doesn't work, don't worry, we'll just cut the parts out, kind of a thing. Now, I've seen that happen over and over and over again for almost 20 years, but it only happens when you know which steps to take. And you can correct, that's the corrective, and then you get into this idea of maintenance, and that's, feed a man a fish, you feed him for the day, you teach him how to fish. That's what we're here for today, so that you can maintain yourself, so that people can maintain their own health and their families. Now, that is what I've been preaching for all these years, and people have followed in that way. Like, people get it. If you get it, you get it. But there's a lot of people out there who haven't been exposed enough yet to that way of thinking. They're actually caught in a cyclotron error, and this is pretty much where our clients come from. The public at large, who've been to the doctor for visits, and they've been offered drugs and surgery and declined it, or they've been told you don't qualify for drugs or surgery yet. You're not bad enough yet. There's nothing wrong with you yet. So, but they know something's wrong. People know something's wrong. They go for typical, diet programs, exercise, and therapies, and they're pretty much caught in the cyclotron era, and they're spending a ton of money. See the dollar signs. This program, that. And some of those might actually help them. You work around the edges a little bit of whatever it is that's really going on, and you could feel better. And certainly you ought to do those things. But it's really not filling the needs. So that's why I say there's this needs gap. I've been saying that for all these years. There's a guy who used to be good looking. Now, almost 20 years ago, I started in the health director case manager position at a clinic, a busy, beautiful clinic in Southern California. Fun place, loving place, caring place. And I cared, and I really wanted to help people. And it just busted my chops, pick your word. And when people walked in, it said they'd already been to 5 practitioners or 8 practitioners. They'd already spent a ton of money. And, young and innocent as I was, I decided I would be the last person that they needed to see. I'm going to be the one that figures it out. Well, I really didn't know what I was up against, but I'm a hard worker. I was able to, over a period of years, get an awful lot of people coming into that clinic and running tests on them, mostly women, but they brought me their husbands and kids. Now, I made my own observations about who got better and who didn't. I wasn't following any one person's program, and I was really just kind of experimenting, if you will. I had the freedom and luxury and honor and privilege to do that. And I made a lot of observations, and I did collaborate, don't get me wrong, but and it's no surprise to any of you that we found people working closest to the underlying cause restored their health. Now, we're not always able to nail it. Root cause is kind of a ghost, that we chase. But we can get very close to the underlying cause, and that makes people better. But here's the other weird thing, the twist, the curveball. many people with the exact same complaints. This is what took me years to figure out. Exact same complaints. I thought, oh, I've had that complaint before, and it was because of maldigestion, malabsorption, and dehydration, or guess what? This person's saying complaints. You fix those things, doesn't make them better. That's weird. Well, they have the exact same complaints for different causes, and sometimes those causes are very, very far removed from the actual underlying cause. And that's how FDN and address programs were developed over the years. I basically feel pretty clear on having identified the needs gap, figured out what fills it, ending the cycle of trial and error for many thousands of people. I did that. And obviously, I think you guys all know I teach a course since 2008. It's 9 years. And we've kind of deputized a couple thousand people to go out and do this work. And what we do is we fill the needs gap. So people come off that cycle of trial and error there on the left. We stop chasing symptoms. We realize the root cause may never be known, but we get close to it by sorting out metabolic chaos. Now, I'm going to explain that. We fill this needs gap. It's a lot about respecting metabolic individuality. Remember, same complaint, different causes. You sort out what's really wrong. Then you got to give people things to do. So there's your investigative and assessment work, and then there's the real work, because that's the easy part. Then there's the rebuilding, repairing, restoring function. When you adopt the right paradigms, I think that becomes a lot easier for people, and both needs are met. Your need to help people, your need to do some good in the world and make a few bucks are met, because when you help people, they send you other people. And you just want to know if you're following the right steps. So let me summarize my introduction here by saying that the root cause may never be known, but that's okay. It could be undetectable. We're years, like I said, we're 50 years from just here one drop of blood and in the machine. Oh, here's everything that's going on. That doesn't happen. And that root cause could be really far away from what you predict or even what you measure. I've run thousands and thousands and thousands of labs, and the root cause could still be undetectable. But even that doesn't matter. You can have a positive effect upon it when you know which steps to take. Listen to this, because this is the deal. Healing occurs when the healing process is focused on identifying and removing the contributors to metabolic chaos and supporting function. And you let the body do what it does. It actually is quite miraculous. So you don't have to be a physician to help people at a very deep level. Health coaches can help break that cycle of trial and error and fill the needs gap. Now, I've said this word metabolic chaos. I want to double check and make sure you guys have a definition for that, because it sounds weird. But it's an actual thing. And I've kind of coined the phrase, so anyone can use it. But it's a state that exists because of hidden complexities in one's metabolism versus underappreciated influence of the environment. That's what's going on. And it makes, this is the hard part for clinicians, people who are helping others. It makes correlation between the symptoms and the cause unpredictable. But yet, that's what clinicians do, is you walk in, you say, oh, I got this, I got that, and they immediately predict, oh, that's probably this. Now, a clue to metabolic chaos is when intervention based on a traditionally reliable cluster of symptoms, which means that, okay, you've done this prediction thing. There's that traditionally reliable cluster. I know what that is. And then you can even do testing and find abnormal objective markers. Oh yeah, see, I'm right. Pat myself in the back. You're out of range. So here's your intervention. And guess what? If that doesn't work, if you only get a marginal therapeutic response, it's something else. You misjudged, you ran the wrong test, or you ran a test that made you feel smart, but really you didn't nail it. And that's why you're only getting marginal therapeutic response. Now, marginal therapeutic response means what you're doing ain't working. So metabolic chaos is the effect of all the contributors to metabolic chaos. They're the cause, but then metabolic chaos itself becomes the single most significant health condition. And I'm going to show you exactly how that works and why. Quickly, remember, I'm talking fast because I got a lot to cover and I don't have a lot of time. And what I'm saying to you is that you can come in with a typical cluster of symptoms, traditionally reliable. Thyroid would be things like constipation, tired and fatigued, a little bit overweight, can't lose it, cold or numbing extremities, swelling of the ankles, and different things like that. There's the feeling of blah, blue, oh, very traditionally reliable cluster of symptoms, reminds me of thyroid. Yep, I think you're thyroid, so let me test your thyroid. You test the thyroid, yep, pat myself in the back. It's a thyroid. Okay, you've got low T3, low T4, high TSH, etc., etc. So, well, I've been learning to avoid that type of prediction and even that type of testing if I can help it. People come to me and us, again, we have 2,000 people we've trained. People come to us, we go, let's just see what's really wrong, because it could be thyroid. Oops, let me just do this. And we know that thyroid is part of endocrine function. We know that that is endocrine dysfunction. We are just now sold and almost guarantee you that it's metabolic chaos. Something's causing endocrine dysfunction, which has affected the thyroid, which is producing your symptoms. Now you'll notice that the arrow here is pointed on both ends, meaning endocrine dysfunction is the result of metabolic chaos, but it contributes to metabolic chaos. And depending on one's individual weak links in metabolism, your genetic vital voids, brokenness, whatever's going on, your unique individuality and weak links, you might end up with something else. You've got that going on, but that contributes to metabolic chaos, and then you end up with neurotissue health. You end up with brain fog and cloudy thinking. And that's another sort of part of a traditional reliable cluster of symptoms that you may have, that there's lots of ways to treat, relief care. But getting to the root of that can be a little bit tougher. So this is how we do it. We look at neurotissue health as a result of metabolic chaos, but contribute to it. And you might end up, depending on your individual weak links in metabolism, with carb metabolism issues. That means you're going to have glucose homeostasis problems. Your blood sugar is going to go up or down or up and down, and you could actually be eating perfectly. Man, I'm eating everything right. I eat the right amount of protein and fat and carbohydrates, and I don't eat junk, and I don't drink, and I don't, not without a good reason anyway. And so, so you end up with blood sugar problems. Now that is a result of metabolic chaos sometimes, and it contributes to metabolic chaos. Now you end up with fat and protein metabolism issues, mucosal surface integrity issues, weight and fat distribution problems. Now that's a lot of clients walking in your door if you're a practitioner, or that's a lot of you if you're public listening in to see if there might be something for you here. Now here's the weird thing. We said this person was eating right. Let's take another person. They're eating wrong. We know that eating wrong is wrong, too much sugar and things like that. You're doing the wrong stuff. That will cause carb metabolism issues, which contributes to metabolic chaos. And again, I changed weak links to vital voids, just another name for the same thing. Voids in your own vitality. And they're very unique. You got your own custom version of it. And that can cause, again, the fat and protein metabolism, weight and fat distribution issues. And in this person who's different, and they're eating wrong, but they have vital voids, and they end up with immune regulation problems. And then they end up with endocrine problems, because the body's always trying to compensate. And this is why I call it metabolic chaos, because it's so unique, it's so individual, and it's so complex. That same person can end up with brain fog and cloudy thinking. So now you see why back in the clinic, I was, I'm not a physician, just an investigator, a guy who wanted to know more. And I found that people with brain fog and cloudy thinking and thyroid symptoms had it for a lot of different reasons. And why I don't just diagnose one thing and try to treat anything specifically. So this is, again, another summary of what we just covered in that very small section. Metabolic chaos cascade means there's hidden stress and imbalances. We are all subject to it. Like in the river on the right, there's different tributaries, different types of stress, crashing around the rocks, the cells, the organs, the tissues, and things in our body. And so the hidden stress and imbalance, if not resolved real quickly, cascade into other areas, metabolic chaos ensues, develops, and that can cause very serious dysfunction in some people, leading to disease and symptoms. Now, in my mind, in our world, the metabolic chaos is the problem. We've just now focused on that. But depending on one's weak links in metabolism, it does cause serious dysfunction in some people. And again, further, there's more finite metabolic individuality, biochemical individuality, and things. You get different diseases and different symptoms, which is how the problem appears or shows up and why people go into the office. And so it's why we just don't use that approach anymore. Symptoms don't matter, and the hidden cause may not be known, but we can have an effect upon it, and I'm going to show you how that works. I got to get back on my screen. And now, I'm going to show you here an example. This is a person with a typically reliable, one of those traditionally reliable clusters of symptoms. Feeling stressed out, weight gain problems, low energy, brain fog, hasty exercise, bad memory, dizzy, eyes sensitive to light. That's a real clue. Okay, anxiety, irritable, crashing in a day, late in the day, second wind, later at night, depression, need for coffee, and things like that. That would sound to a lot of clinicians today like an adrenal problem, an adrenal client. I said we're going to talk about HPA axis, and we are coming right up. So let's just see if this is really an adrenal client or if this is a metabolic chaos client, which is what I would call it. Here's the normal stress response. I think I'm really hoping that the audience is made up largely of people who've had a little background in this kind of stuff. But the normal stress response, you have up in your brain the HP up there, that's the hypothalamus, pituitary glands, and then the A is the adrenals, which are on top of your kidneys. And you have, first and foremost, usually influence, sympathetic influence from different types of stress. Like you get cut off in a car, you're going out to work, your boss isn't nice to you, your kids are little brats, whatever it is. You got sympathetic input, and you're going to crank out some adrenaline. It's going to raise your blood pressure. You're going to have things going on. Now, in addition to that, so again, the brain sort of reads all this stuff in the bloodstream, especially that adrenaline. When that hits, it kicks off a whole chain of stress response. We get into this idea of fight-flight thing. The hypothalamus puts out your CRH, corticotropin releasing hormone, and then the pituitary reads that, puts out the ACTH. And then that tells a different part of the adrenals called the adrenal cortex. So the adrenal medulla in the middle makes the adrenaline. The outside adrenal cortex is actually 3 layers. I won't go into the names of them, but they produce different things in the stress response. Now, one of them is aldosterone, which controls like electrolyte levels in your body, basically. That's enough of that for now. The thing that we all know about much more intimately is the cortisol. That's the stress hormone on top of the adrenaline. It enhances the adrenaline. It lasts much longer than adrenaline. It raises blood sugar through gluconeogenesis. Again, the adrenaline, your heart rate's already up, your blood, your blood pressure's going up and things like that. Now you got blood sugar kicking in. Now, this is a pro-survival thing. You're supposed to be able to run away from that bear or do the bar fight or whatever it is that's your favorite thing to get in trouble doing. Now, this also aids us in protein breakdown, especially in other forms of metabolism, so you can get some energy, right? And it suppresses gastric emptying, slows down digestion. It's really also bad for reproduction. When you're running from a bear, the last thing you need to be doing is procreating, right? So even though DHEA should go up, we're finding in just the different types of stress that it actually goes down. It should go up theoretically, and every now and then I do see some high DHA, but typically when you have a real good strong stress response, you're going to see DHA go down. Your sex hormones lowered a little bit, sex drive goes down a little bit, and things like that when you're all stressed out. That's pretty normal stress response. Now, so that things don't get totally out of control, there's something called the HPA negative feedback loop. So cortisol, it's only going to go so high before the HPA says, whoa, 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 okay, wait a minute, we're getting plenty of cortisol. Let's slow down the production, and you end up with it slowing down. So that's what the feedback loop does. It's negative, and you should then you should land in a balanced state where this cortisol and DHA are balanced. You have This is really an important concept, the anabolic versus catabolic balance. You want them in balance. What you want is stress resolution, sex hormones and stress hormones, not too much of one or the other. Actually, I have my preference, but that's an individual thing. And so that would be pretty normal, right? Now, in the chronic stress response, and I'm not going to go through all these chronic stressors, but there they are elaborated on somewhat. I got some great jokes for a time when we have more time. And but we'll just say that in the chronic stress response, you've got the same thing, sympathetic, different influences on the adrenal. You got lots of adrenaline flowing. You got the 3 layers of the adrenal cortex putting out their stuff, like cortisol, and DHA usually going down. Again, there's a lot of influences here, and this is what that kind of looks like. The reduced hypothalamus pituitary, the sensitivity. You have reduced sensitivity in the HP, so the negative feedback loop might not work much anymore. You also have all these environmental influences. You got other hormonal influences. You got the immune system. You got circadian rhythm. People working night shift. They're live in a dark room all day and things like that. And you got basic stress overload. So something's got to give. And what happens is you end up in this, so I'm going to go back one. See, cortisol is raised at first, but then you get mixed signals. You get a lot of influences. I call it metabolic chaos, and you end up with measurements, and cortisol actually ends up being low. Now, it's been blamed for years and years and years on adrenal fatigue. It's made in the adrenals, but is it really adrenal fatigue? Is that an adrenal client? That person that we showed you, the lady with her hand on her forehead with all those complaints, that's a traditionally reliable cluster of symptoms. That's a traditionally reliable cluster of symptoms. You could even then go and measure her cortisol and go, yep, it's low. It's those adrenals. They're weak. And yet I'm going to show you how they may not be weak at all. They may be doing actually a very good job, but there's other things going on. So this is kind of an older paradigm, but the measurements are true. The cortisol is usually low. DHA also gets low, but it goes so low that you're still in this catabolic overload state. And when the body starts breaking down, when you're catabolic means break down. It just picture, you're turning your meat into blood sugar, like runners. They're so catabolic that they get skinny because they can't put on weight unless they stop the stress. So what happens is you end up with energy production problems. I'm not going to read everything in the box. You can come back and watch it, but it's not good. Body chemistry goes haywire. You end up with all kinds of problems with breakdown and chemistry levels being out of balance, and the immune system also breaks down. Secretory IgA is probably the most prevalent immune element in your body, and it goes down. You end up getting sicker, and then it just cascades from there. Now, if you have poor energy production, your body chemistry is off, and your immune system is over and inactive, then they play off each other. That's the cascade. Go back to the cascade model. You end up in a state of, I just call it metabolic chaos. Now, it says what else can go wrong. It should just say what is really going wrong. And what is really going wrong is you have a combination of all these things. The CRH can go down. It's not signaling to the pituitary properly. That can because of neurotransmitter imbalances, the immune system, again, circadian rhythm issues. The ANS is your autonomic nervous system, sympathetic versus parasympathetic balance. So the problem isn't the adrenals at all, is it? It's your hypothalamus not signaling to the pituitary. Now the pituitary is getting bad messages to begin with, and it can certainly put out its own. There can be receptorship issues there for the CRH, and neurotransmitters can affect it. Again, remember we have the negative feedback loop not working. And so guess what? The poor old adrenals who are getting all the blame, they actually could be a little bit dysfunctional. Receptorship issues that can be affected by the immune system, toxicity, and other forms of metabolic chaos. So now you have that, cortisol, and it starts to get to be, well, how could it be normal? And why am I blaming the adrenal glands all the time? You can have cortisol binding hormone is something we could discuss later, but you could have overbinding and underbinding. You could have a lack of cofactors and enzymes and things like that. You're not really getting it right. Now, cortisol can also shunt to cortisone, which is enzyme dependent, cofactor dependent. So there might be really no problem with your cortisol. It looks low, but it's actually just because it's shunting into another area. What you end up with is this elevated cortisol to DHA ratio. You're catabolic, you're out of balance, but you can't just any longer say it's the adrenal glands. It's metabolic chaos, which is all those circles, the things listed on your left there, the things listed on your left are those circles, the endocrine, the neurotissue, neuronal connectivity, and things like that. And so the old paradigm is you're an adrenal client, I'm going to give you all the adrenal fixer-uppers, or it's the hypothalamus, pituitary, all those things, the liver and detoxification, binding and clearance report, cellular and organ tissues, again, the sensitivities, resistance to these things, and even mitochondrial issues. Blood sugar, inflammation is huge, and the adrenals can have some issues of their own, but I want to tell you, I'd say 8 out of 10 cases now where a person walks in and says that they've got adrenal fatigue, or they were told by someone they have adrenal fatigue. They don't have adrenal fatigue. All those things can produce the exact same symptoms, which was my original premise with you. They need another diagnosis, like this lady needs more stuff in her house. Okay, this is a hoarder. She probably has a lot of symptoms. She doesn't need more junk in her house. She doesn't need any more. All right, you get the sort of attempt at humor there. And the new paradigm is it's actually just metabolic chaos. Now, that's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing, and let me tell you why. Because you as a health coach, a personal trainer, nutritionist, and non-licensed practitioner, you're not allowed to diagnose anyway. You can't, and you can't treat that specific thing if you did diagnose it. And so things aren't being diagnosed correctly, and who wants to treat the wrong diagnosis? You're just not going to get very good results that way. That's why people are caught in the cycle of trial and error, and that's why they're at your door begging for something different. So we have one diagnosis now in our world. It's metabolic chaos. Symptoms don't really matter. Root cause may never be known. But it's okay. We can have an effect upon it when we try to treat everything simultaneously with the Dress for Health Success program. And so in my world, there's 3 steps to resolving metabolic chaos. You assess the underlying condition. Now, by the way, stand by, folks, with me, because I'm going to show you some test results. I'm going to show you something new that just came out that I really love, which just kind of floats on top of what we've been talking about. So one is you have to assess underlying conditions and contributors to metabolic chaos, the underlying conditions and contributors to metabolic chaos. We have this scorecard that we have people fill out, and we complete FDN functional lab testing. I run 5 labs in every person. They don't all give me everything I want to know about, but they give me enough to assess healing opportunities. Where's the metabolic chaos happening? Then we customize our lifestyle program, and then we do the coaching process. And many of you are much better at this than me. The coaching up function, coaching down, getting people to do stuff is the trick there. I might tell them do it or don't speak to me. You might say, well, you go into lots of different things. I try not to treat the people that way, but bottom line is there is a coaching process, and you do need to know how to correct course. Now that I'm actually pretty good at figuring out what they need to tweak, and clients invariably do get better, or at least they have extremely reasonable expectations. And the causal factors are resolved, or vital voids are resolved, meaning something might be broken that just ain't going to get fixed, and they can support that for the rest of their life. We'll find a way to support it. Like if they had a gallbladder taken out, that's a vital void. You're not going to grow it back. So we fill the needs gap and the cyclotron error, and this is pretty much those 3 steps now in a little more detail. So this is remarkable. This is really worth paying attention to. We assess the metabolic chaos. We run labs to identify healing opportunities and malfunctions within these areas. Now, I'm an acronym guy. I like acronyms. HIDDEN, hormone, immune, digestion, detoxification, energy production, and nervous systems. It's quite remarkable. And at this point, it's not theory anymore. I'm telling you what I did for 10 years in an office on 10,000 people and the observations I made. And now I'm picking and choosing. Now I'm saying this is what I came up with. Because everything we talked about up till now, the way things work, there's metabolic chaos, trying to specify one particular diagnosis and then treat that one thing just doesn't give people results. So you've got to be able to treat everything at one time. But you can't test everything. There's no one test. There's no one urine test. There's no one blood test or whatever it is. You send it into the magic computer and it tells you everything. You're not going to get that for 50 years. So, but you also can't get someone to run 30 labs. And I back in the day had people run 15 and 20 different labs. But now but that's expensive. So you got to boil it down to, well, which labs would give me enough information and healing opportunities in logical areas and very common areas of dysfunction. So I am picking for you hormone, immune, digestion, detoxification, energy production, and nervous systems. But you realize that the test results, the paper, what's on it is not the problem. It gives us insights into the problem. And you have to use some clinical skill. You develop this skill that in understanding that you're revealing areas that need improvement. That's all. That's not diagnosing and treating disease. It's revealing areas that need improvement. And because we do have some science, physiology, and biochemistry behind us, we can see the pathways to unraveling that metabolic chaos and restoring order, the homeostasis, so that health just comes back. Now that's the trick. Is number one, assessing using the lab work and obviously a good history taking and things like that, so that we're now treating all the vital void, all the metabolic chaos, or those vital voids will be revealed. And it's quite remarkable when you do that. Now I'm going to show you step 2 and 3 in a minute. I'm going to give you an example here of some lab work, and it's quite remarkable what's going on with some of the new labs. I've run for all these years the stress and hormone profile, looked at the HPA axis dysfunction, cortisol dysregulation, circadian rhythm issues, sex hormone imbalances, all this stuff. You look at those hormones there. This provides a neat little snapshot of overall vital reserve. Remember, you got what's in the tank, metabolic reserve, strategic reserve, and that will guide therapy, point us to areas for deeper investigation. It's a baseline to monitor changes. It documents metabolic chaos. Here's some documentation on your individual. You run this lab, you get 6 or 8 or 12. I think that test there has 11 different markers. Now we're doing 13 different markers. This is a typical the first page of that test that I just showed you. So this is giving us the circadian rhythm, or what's called the diurnal rhythm, because we are diurnal, we're not nocturnal. And we see a person here with very low morning, low noon, extremely low afternoon, and they kind of back up to very low at nighttime as well. This would be called, in the old days, an adrenal fatigue, stage 3 adrenal fatigue. Well, we know that's not a sophisticated enough interpretation anymore. it's not stage 3 adrenal fatigue. It's metabolic chaos and a lot of stress. And so let me show you something else now that has enhanced our understanding. Just one little way of getting a couple more little clues about a person. I find this pretty fascinating. I hope you like lab work. I hope you watch. So this is the new CAR, or cortisol awakening response test, which I believe you can only do accurately with saliva. And so what we do is we have the extra markers in the morning. See here, and I'm pointing with, you can't see me pointing, but I'm pointing right at my screen at these 3 little markers over here on the left. I guess I could use my little cursor thing. And what we did now, instead of just doing 1 in the morning, we do 3. We do 1 when you first wake up, and then we do 1 a half hour later. That's the plus 30, and we do another half hour, or plus 60, from the waking sample. Now this is pretty cool. We also have here in the lower right what we call a perceived stress score of 18.5. Now that's a little survey that the person fills out, and they pretty much tell us how bad they think their life sucks, and by scoring it. My score is like a 9. I'm a pretty happy guy. I wake up every day happy. I always think I could be happier, but I'm pretty happy. Now, so waking up, why do we do this? Well, we want to know if this person has a perception problem. It's just a neat thing that health coaches can now add to their repertoire and understanding. Because in the old days, let me go back up here. In the old days, if morning cortisol was high, you might just go, oh, I mean, there's physiological reasons for that. You could have low blood sugar. You could have a parasite, that's still bugging you from the night before, no pun intended. And things like, you just kind of look for physical reasons why that's really high, if it was high. Now, and we have no clue. Like, we just got 1 point in the morning, so we can't do this kind of interpretation. Again, it adds this neat element that health coaches are just loving, because it lets them get into the sort of brain of their client, and that's what you need to do if you're going to coach them up for a while. So we start off in the morning with the very first, when you first wake up, you get out of bed, first thing you do is you take that saliva sample, and you get the sort of baseline, we'll call it. Now, waking up is a stressful event. Waking up is stressful. So typically, it's going to go up a little bit like that, like it's already rising, and then you wake up and it goes up some more. And depending on how, I'll just put it this way in my very, sort of colloquial way, depending on how crappy you think your life is, it could keep going up. Oh my God, I got this. Oh my God, I got that. It can keep going up higher. Now, so this person here would say, no, this is just an interpretation. Well, you woke up and you got your feet on the floor. You took your saliva test. Your feet on the floor, and 30 minutes later, we actually catch it at its peak. That is its peak. And then at 60, what should normally happen? You could say, okay, all right, it's not so bad. My life is actually pretty good. I mean, remember, waking up is a physiological, it's going to rise no matter what in every person. But then depending on how you look at the world, it could go up higher a little bit, or it could flatline. Now, typically it's going to flatline after half an hour, or go down, which it should do. It should go down. You should feel like, okay, all right, I'm off now. I can brush my teeth, and I'm ready to roll. I'm ready to go downstairs, make my breakfast, whatever it is. I mean, everyone has different lives, but I hope you get the concept. So I'm not going to go into the rest of the test here, because this is really low noon, really no afternoon, really low nighttime. This is a person that if you only had 1 point up here, you would go, oh, stage 3 adrenal fatigue. Here's your licorice root and your pregnenolone, your DHEA, and let's try to reduce stress a little bit, okay? And things like that. Now we get this extra idea in some people. This one actually looks pretty good, but it is new information. Let me look at it and show you another one. Here's a person who's waking up. It's already high. Now you know, I'm not going to say, oh, their adrenals are better than the other person's. I'm not going to say that. I'm just going to say that, you know, or that they're in stage 1 adrenal fatigue, you know, something like that. Just to say, look, you're waking up here, and then it's shooting way up here, way above normal. Um, how you doing? You know, like, what's going on with you in the morning? You know, are you like panicking? Are you, you know, I would at least now, again, you're adding this layer of perception and assessment to your typical stress profile. I think it's fascinating, and I'm going to be running these from now on. This, by the way, is from BioHealth Laboratories, in case you're wondering. So, but the good news for this person is that once they get their, I call it getting your feet on the floor, I don't know, wash your face or something. You know, it did come back down to about where it started. So you know, again, their perceived stress score, by the way, look over here, is a 7. So they're saying, no, my life isn't too bad at all. Okay, my life isn't too bad. 7 is like, mine was a 9, and I'm a laid back dude. So 7's like really not much perception of stress, and this kind of reflects that. You see it right there, that yeah, I was waking up, and yeah, you know, like it just might be what happened. That person just, a couple of things might be going on. Blood sugar, you know, might be an issue where it's coming up high to raise blood sugar. Blood sugar might be going up anyway, because remember, it was down here before they woke up. Can't measure it when they're asleep. It's coming up. Or now we can go back to our original, the way we used to sort of look at it. You know, again, remove this layer and say, you know what, you might have something physiological going on. There could be some hidden stressor that isn't mental emotional. Like, again, I always think with high nighttime cortisol of parasites or you know, some kind of immune system activity. Immune system activity, and you might get that. Now, and again, blood sugar and things like that. But the reason, you know, I'm not calling this, I don't even use the stages of adrenal fatigue anymore. I think that it's a good construct, and I use it for years. But look how low it gets at noon, low it gets in the afternoon. It goes back up at night. So it's back up at night, and it's high in the morning. So maybe through the night, they really do have something going on. And you know, because their perceived stress score is low, this 7 over here, you know, they're okay. They don't think their life sucks too much. Anyway, I hope you guys get that. I'm kind of jumping around a bit, but here's another one where I would say, well, maybe there is a question about perceived stress. First of all, it's 16. I think the highest you can get on this test is 40. So, you know, they definitely perceive some stress, and their body is showing it. You know, like they're waking up a half hour later, it's gone up that much. They really could. You need to ask them, but again, it gives us that opportunity to ask and assess and see if that person basically should be doing deep breathing, meditation, prayer, something in the morning to not let it, you know, maybe go up so high. And it does start to come down. I think we'd like it to come down faster. Like it should come back down a little fat, so it's staying up there. And this could be that they were, you know, you need to talk to the client and find out what's going on. Hey man, are you okay? What's going on? You know, you're perceiving the world as a pretty shitty place, aren't you? And yeah, I really got to work on it. Yeah, because this person's blood pressure is going to be high, and their digestion isn't going to be really good. They probably are going to skip breakfast and go drink some coffee or something. Something I used to love to do, by the way. But anyway, so that is the new HPA axis test that I'm doing. And of course, in addition to the stress hormones that we looked at, we're also going to be looking at estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, and melatonin. So there's a lot more to interpreting this test. There's another whole page of test results and another graph to look at. But I wanted you to get an idea of what we're doing these days. Now, I don't know what my time is here. Oh boy, I'm halfway through and it's taken me 50 minutes to get there. So I'm going to keep you a little bit extra today. I hope you have another 20 minutes or so, because I want to show you Another test result, of our 5 tests, we do run a metabolic assessment profile. This is a simple urine test. We look at markers that tell us about maldigestion, dysbiosis, too much oxidative stress, too much free radicals, and poor detoxification. This is a direct measurement of liver function. And in this case, we have a urinary bile acids are circulating at a very low level. So low level of circulating bile acids could be a lot of actually hepatic circulation. Enterohepatic circulation is really poor. So, gives us a healing opportunity there. Liver congestion. And this person is a positive indican right here, poor protein breakdown. That means they're not breaking down foods. Another test we run on everybody is this intestinal permeability test. And this shows the leaky gut. A GI pathogen screen. Really important to do all of these tests. Make sure your stool test has really good microscopy, really good antigen testing, and really good culturing. So this one here grows about 7 different petri dishes. We're coming up here with yeast, H. pylori infection, and E. coli. Now, those are top contributors to metabolic chaos. They are not the problem. Is what they do to the body that is a problem. Certainly, yes, you have to coach those down, treat them, but you're not left with a healthy person just by eliminating these things. We also do a test for about 150 different foods. There's lots of food sensitivity tests on the market. I've run them all. I have my favorites for screening. This is one of them. Look at all the reds. This person, half their diet, things they've been eating, is upsetting the apple cart. They're contributing to metabolic chaos. So those 5 labs are my assessment in just every case. It doesn't mean I won't run other labs, but if you don't get this groundwork in, if you don't lay good groundwork, if you don't look at hormone, immune, digestion, detoxification, energy production, and the nervous system, and I only showed you a handful, or there's a couple other elements to our program, the intake, that is, some questionnaires and things. So we assess that, and then, did I diagnose anything when I did that? No, I told you many times, I'm not diagnosing adrenal fatigue. I'm not diagnosing anything. I'm just looking for areas that need improvement. What's out of balance? And what can because I want to give that person things to do that fixes everything all at once. A complete, holistic, lifestyle program. And again, this is where I'm telling you what I discovered, and I did all the work for you, figuring out how can I have the biggest influence on every person walking in the door, so that they have reasonable expectations that they're going to get better, they're going to make improvements. Unless some extreme vital voids are found, they're going to get better. They're going to make improvements and head in the right direction pretty fast, especially kids. Do amazing when you do this on kids. So the program is the elements that are needed are diet, rest, exercise, stress reduction, and supplements. Dress for Health Success program. We coach up function, while we coach down the contributors to metabolic chaos, and observe and correct course. You get everybody at a certain starting spot with this DRESS program. It's really cool because you can just label. Remember, I like acronyms. You can label each finger, and you'll never forget what you have to do. That covers everything you need to do, because if it isn't diet or rest or exercise or supplements, it's stress reduction. Everything that isn't one of the other 4 goes into stress reduction. And again, you're not treating anything specifically. You're treating everything non-specifically. And vital voids can be corrected if they've been acquired in your life. They can be repaired in your life in many cases. Sometimes they're genetic, and you need some other support, but that's the program. Now, it works because of sound principles. Healing opportunities are identified by taking very careful histories. We've worked out the forms, a lot of collaboration on that kind of a thing. So we identify the healing opportunities by taking careful histories and correlating them with the results from well-chosen labs. Again, you can only run some money in each person. There is no one lab. And then we apply the wellness principles And over a course of time, you explore individual limitations. That leads us on a journey of ever-deepening insights about that person's individual obstacles to health and opportunities for overcoming them. And the honest pursuit of those healing opportunities and creatively working towards a resolution is the basis upon which we work. And I will, and you and I both can take this to the bank. General principles of health building outperform specific treatments. So if you go back to my original history, I became the health director and case manager at a wellness center. And I said, I'm going to figure out what's wrong with people, and so that they don't have to just be stuck in that cyclotron era. Everyone that came to me in our clinic had been to 5 or 8 people already, at least 3. And so what everyone else was doing was performing specific treatments. They were using those traditionally reliable cluster of symptoms. They might even run a test. Yep, I found your problem. Pat me on the back. It's adrenal fatigue. Pat me on the back. It's your thyroid. Or pat me on the back. It's your gut and whatever. And what I found out is that that's why they're in a cycle of trial and error. So you got to learn a way to assess and treat everything at one time using just general principles, because I'm not a doctor. I can't get out a prescription pad or a scalpel and don't want to. And it works. And so look, here's just again another one of the sort of summary slides. We coach up vital reserve, and we coach down contributors to metabolic chaos. Mostly you coach up vital reserve with diet, rest, exercise, and the supplements, and you coach down metabolic chaos by doing stress reduction, your known stressors, your hidden stressors, any and all contributors to metabolic chaos. And it's amazing when you teach people to look around what they find out. And if they've run your labs, now you really are cooking with gas. You know something. Then you now know what to do. You've assessed, and now you know what to do. Now you just got to get them to do it. And good luck with that. I mean, it's easy, right? You hold people accountable and their feet to the fire, and you provide coaching. You know, I coached football, as you know, for 15 years, and my job was to show up and make sure they were practicing hard. You know, we teach them what to do, give them an opportunity to practice it, and then give them honest feedback. Honest feedback is how you guide course correction. So when I have my second meeting, a third meeting, and fourth meeting with a client, it's how well are you doing the program? How well, you know, it's like how the DRESS, your diet. I want to see some diet check record sheets. Your rest, in other words, sleep. You know, are we doing the hygiene and things that we need to do there? And the exercise. Did you hire the trainer or join the gym, or do you at least walk around the block, or whatever level they're at? And then the stress reduction. Okay, whatever it might be, getting rid of the bad foods, getting rid of the bugs, getting rid of people in your life, whatever it might be. So you're just holding people accountable to the program they signed up for. And that's what they're paying you for, by the way, is to hold them accountable to the program. So I don't really find the coaching part that difficult. People are difficult, but what we do and how to do it isn't. It's really quite simple. And obviously this takes time. There is no power boating to health. And you can't just say, boy, I'm going to do this program 5 times faster than everyone else. No, it doesn't work that way. It's like sailing. You correct course. There's currents in the water, which is the environment. There's wind in the sails. That's the environment, the stuff you're up against. You can set your sails. You can trim the sails. You can obviously change course. You can tack and come about and things like that. So it's very, very interesting and a lot of fun. A lot of people love doing the coaching part. I really specialize initially on the assessments and designing the program. It's probably my strength, is making it real simple. In this coaching process, that's what you guys are all about, transforming people, right? So once again, I'm wrapping it up now, and I'm going to give you guys an offer, a very special offer to join me and my team. So please stick around for that. We don't diagnose, and FDN works because of sound principles. As I said, we don't diagnose or treat anything specifically. By making observations about metabolic chaos and removing as many stressors as possible, we unmask the basic systems that are actually failing. So we don't jump to conclusions based on symptoms. And we do run some labs. And find out what's wrong. So as we repair and restore those functions and support weak links in metabolism that are part of the metabolic cast, clients invariably get better. So I don't make guarantees. I make one guarantee to my clients. I'm here for the right reasons. And other than that, there are no guarantees, but there are very reasonable expectations. Don't you think if we do it this way, it's going to help you? So, we coach up vital reserve, or we coach down contributors metabolic cast that is not diagnosing and treating disease, that is not practicing medicine without a license. That's just really good, pure health coaching. And freedom of speech, actually, if you want to go there. So the most important pearl you could take home today with you is that only by unraveling metabolic chaos can you truly fill the needs gap and end the cycle of trial and error for you and your clients, for you to work on yourself personally. And we do have people that take my program just for their own health and their family's health. And for your clients, obviously. And one hand's always going to wash the other in that relationship. Your clients will love you, and you won't have to do a lot of marketing when you got your clients telling everybody how great you are. So what are you going to do with your next few clients? You can choose for yourself that. But I'm going to show you now something. Because sort of like the educational part's over, I just wanted to introduce you to that new CAR test and our way of thinking. And I want you to go mull that over. But for my program, I'm going to introduce you to now. Who should do it? Well, it's professionals, and we do accept people who just want to work on themselves. It's probably worth the price of admission just to do that. But we love our health coaches and nutritionists and personal trainers and chiropractors and acupuncturists, and even RDs and nurses are joining our program because they're getting tired of all that other way of doing things too. And chiropractors send us their assistants because they're busy adjusting, which is where I developed FDN in a chiropractic office where there was a lot of adjusting going on. We also had acupuncturists and other people, but kind of a new buddy of mine, Dr. Russell Jaffe, he's actually an MD, not a DO, like I said. He told me within the last couple months that, look, the medical community is opening up to this stuff and the need for lifestyle modification. And we need 50 to 75,000 new health coaches, and just in the next few years. And I actually would say, no, you need them now, not in the next few years. We need them now. I've only trained 2,000, so I got a ways to go, folks. And I want you to join me. We have a global community that's amazing. We're all over the world now. And I got just tons of programs, and that's what I do. Now, our grads are some well-known people. People have taken the FDN course over the years and gone on to brand themselves as, pretty special healers. Amazing people. I love all these people. All except that one. I'm kidding. Now, also highly recommended. We have an amazing board of advisors, including Bill Wolcott and some of these people here. And there are organizations that when you ask them, well, what about health coaching? They point the finger at, go do FDN, that's the one you want. And we provide it all 24/7 access. It starts when you start. It's self-paced. You don't have to be anywhere at a certain time, except when you get your mentorship. And when it says there, personal mentor, 2 labs, I pay for 2 of those labs. The first 2 labs I showed you, I'm going to pay the lab fees and everything. We're going to ship you the kits, and you're going to run those on yourself. And you get lots of practical exercises. My graduates, we're graduating 4 or 5 people a week now, and I interview every one of them. It's a big part of what I do every week is interview my grads. And what's going on? How can I make the course better? What else can we do? And it helped me develop a post-grad program. We now have this amazing post-grad membership program. And the medical director program in red, there's what people love. Some people sign up just because they want to be able to run labs in their clients. And if you take my program, you'll be able to. Last 2 slides, folks. I'm going to let you go, and I'm making pretty good time here. Been about an hour and 10 minutes that we've been on. And I didn't mention it, but we could take some questions for about 10 minutes, and then that's all the time I have. But Jessica, you could watch. I don't know if we have questions, but I know Jessica's on with me, and I am going to now go over the pricing. So it's springtime. Today's the first day of spring. Maybe that's why I feel so fantastic, because I love the springtime. And the certification course is still only $49.95. It's been there for a couple of years, folks, and I've added an awful lot to it over the last couple of years, but I have not raised the price. Yeah, I've been told that it's better than certain PhD courses people pay 20 grand for. I've been told it's better than other functional medicine courses they paid $10,000 and $12,000 for. I've been told that I'm giving it away at that price. And I'm even willing to do one better. Again, it's a springtime easy tuition special. Take off 500 bucks. So in a second, I'm going to give you a code. It's the only code working right now. And it's not going to work for long, but I'm going to give you the code in just a minute. Obviously, we have the bonus of that mentoring program, so you can work on yourself and get all the practice. So before you graduate, you'll have practiced an awful lot doing this on mock-up clients. And I'm going to give you some labs, and I'm going to give you also one of my lectures, so you can go out in the public and lecture to the public and get your first handful of customers. So it's a turnkey kind of a thing. And all you need to do now, I have to get a little sip of water here. All you need to do now is read the screen while I sip my water. All right, thank you. So you go to fdntraining.com and use that code. You just click that you want to join. Go find the join button and click and use CAR 500. That stands for cortisol awakening response, kind of a little thing we did today. Payment plans are available, so you take the 500 off, and then it'll split the balance up over 6 or 12 months. Take your pick. You can register by phone. That's my phone number. Typically, I answer, or my voicemail picks up, and my assistant will call you back. This coupon expires at the end of this month, so it's springtime month. That gives you 10 days to go and steal someone's credit card. No, just get ready to do this. So I'm gonna and jump in, folks. You're welcome to join the team, and I just can't tell you how much I care about you guys doing this and getting in, so we can help people together. So are you there, Jessica?
I'm here, right?
Anything going
We
on?
did, yeah, we do have a few questions that came in. I did want to mention that there's a lot of people asking for replays. We will be sending out a replay, so you'll have a copy of the slides.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but to get started, since we're short on time here, a lot of people were asking in regards to ordering the test, how it works with us. Also,
Yeah.
what if you could re-mention the lab that the CAR test comes from?
Sure. Okay, well, that CAR test is from BioHealth Laboratories. They're good friends of ours, and we're good friends with a lot of labs, but they are the ones who are now offering that CAR, cortisol awakening response test. And you could tell them you heard about it from me. I want them to know the good work that we're all doing out here. And the way that the medical director program works is you can, if you are a graduate of my course, you're going to get access to a medical director program that I created. Why did I create it? For me to use, because I'm not a doctor. I couldn't run labs. So I created a medical director program concept that's actually, grown quite a bit. So the concept is that I can't run the labs on my clients, but I have a program that they can run it through. And when I started training, it took some work and effort and a lot of agreements between my medical director and the labs, but we now have a ton of labs. Just about any lab, well, any lab I teach, you can run, put it that way. Any lab I teach, you can run through the medical director program, and a few more that I don't teach that are in our sort of post-grad program. So you don't run the lab on the client runs the lab through this program, but you know, they obviously are going to let you look at the test results. So you expedite it, you handle it, you know, you basically get your client to get their labs done through this program. And that's how we keep it legal and clean. And you're not practicing medicine without a license. Your name isn't on any lab test reports. It's this program. You know, people today are finding that they can go online. Like if you wanted to get tested for STDs or something, you got a new boyfriend or girlfriend, you want to make sure they get checked out too, right, for safe sex and all that stuff. We would go to tstd.org. tstd.org. Well, that's a medical director program. It's just, you know, someone set up a company so that the public can get labs done. tstd.org. Now, this is a special one. It's highly refined. It requires a lot of training. You have to have taken my training to use it, but it's not an unheard of thing, having direct to public labs. This is just a very, very special one that I designed. Does that answer the question, Jessica?
Perfectly. Thanks, Reed.
Mm-hmm.
We do have some more specific to the CAR test from BioHealth,
Great.
and Dave was asking, shouldn't cortisol rise up midday before declining in that test?
Yeah, it should. It does.
And then Kay asked a couple of questions. Could a person develop Addison's disease if metabolic chaos goes on too long, and how would you test for that?
Hey, that's a good question. Well, Addison's disease is that's a true adrenal disease. That is adrenals. I mean, that's beyond stage 3 adrenal fatigue. That's Addison's disease. And so the way you test for that is, well, first of all, you probably would see very, very, very low cortisol levels on these kind of tests. And if it was bad enough, and if the person was presenting in a certain way, in other words, they're showing up really in bad shape, they might have Addison's disease. There's some other clues, and by the way, I do cover that completely in the course. So you would refer them to a physician that could run an ACTH challenge. So I don't know if I should go back to the slide or not, but basically you can have a doctor give someone the stimulant that's supposed to produce the cortisol. If you give someone an ACTH challenge and their adrenals are non-responsive, they probably would get that diagnosis of Addison's disease. That's actually pretty easy to figure out. And yes, it could still be the result of metabolic chaos, you know, just everything, and especially the immune system, autoimmune, things like that. So there's organs that fail because of the body's attacking them. That's generally considered a medical condition, but we clean up around the edges of it very, very, very nicely. We can get everything else into balance, and that can, over time, heal. Now, it probably needs some medication in the meantime, but that's why we don't hate doctors. We love them. They're great at relief care. Nothing wrong with relief care and managing symptoms while you fix the body. Just everyone knows the medical community, the standard medicine falls short on our side of it. They fall very short on our side of it. They're very content to just treat symptoms and manage the case, and we're not, and people are not. So what's the next question?
The next question is in regards to cortisol and how the test, how it's, Catherine asked, what can the cortisol test indicate about waking up in the morning hour, sorry.
Yeah, well, you know, if we generally have people take the last cortisol specimen at about 10 o'clock before you go to bed, and you're supposed to have prepared. There are instructions in the kits that are very clear. So you should not be up watching, right, you shouldn't be working at your computer with all the electromagnetic frequencies and full spectrum lighting, and you're supposed to chill real good, real well before your 10 o'clock sample. So it should be kind of low, right? Now, the next one is not till morning, and it's on the rise even when you collect the very first sample. So as far as getting cortisol in the middle of the night, you can get an extra tube and just, hey, if I wake up at 2, I'm gonna get my saliva and see what the cortisol is doing. So if I understand the question right, you know, you might find it's pretty high, and that's why you woke up. Okay, because cortisol is a wake up hormone. You know, it rises as you're waking up, and it continues to rise after you wake up because waking up is also stressful. Then it should pretty much right away go back, and within an hour, go back to about where you started usually. And so that's what we're finding anyway. That's what the data is revealing. So as far as that middle of the night one goes, if it's high, well, why? So it's good to know, okay, this is, so I'm not crazy. Okay, it tells you, oh, I'm not crazy. That's good. My cortisol actually is high. In other words, I'm kind of supposed to be awake. My cortisol matches my state of wakefulness. And then, but the question would be, why is the cortisol high? Now, is it the immune system triggering something? Is it bugs that are tend to be more active at night and during a full moon and things like that? And is that why? Or is it blood sugar? Did you eat poorly? Or is it a bounce from your alcohol consumption too late at night? If you're drinking wine all night, you're probably going to wake up in the middle of the night. It's just a bounce that you get. It's a cortisol bounce. So there are sort of things to look at if you're waking up in the middle of the night, because you shouldn't be.
Thanks, Reed. Do you have time for another question?
I have time. I just care about the people and not making them all hang around. Actually, you've got an action item right in front of you here. Please join my training. Join the team. We need 50,000 health coaches in this country. And I think our program is as good as it gets. Now, there's other good programs. I've actually buddies with other people who are teaching health coaching programs, but and they're great. A lot of them go into areas that I don't exactly cover. A lot of the mental emotional stuff isn't my specialty. I have my way of handling those things. I'm a man of prayer, and I like this thing called EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique, and deep breathing, and I think exercise. And I think our program is fairly complete, but there's other programs to go more into the neuro-linguistic programming things. I don't teach NLP in my course. My communication is very, very direct and straightforward, and I don't use linguistic tricks. But not that there's anything wrong with that. But so I don't do that. But mine is the if you want to learn the labs, which labs to run and what are the protocols, and learn the DRESS program, and get with an amazing community and all the resources we bring to bear and share with each other, including not just once when you take this course, you graduate. It's not like good luck with that. We have an association of FDN professionals where I'm providing amazing support for business and cases and all kinds of things. So it's really quite a growing thing. I think we're top of the line. So I would and tell you right at today's prices, it's an amazing bargain. So I got time for another couple. If there's a couple that
Okay.
look the same, ask them that way.
Yeah, there is a couple that wanted to put up the slides for leaky gut. If you could just find that slide again, I'm not sure, so they can re-see that. And then also a couple on testing. Do we do Dutch testing? How does that compare with other hormone tests? Is probably a good one.
Yeah, I'm a saliva guy because, like the Dutch test, it's a well-designed test. I know Mark Newman very well. He's a buddy of mine, and I appreciate what he's doing. So I wish him nothing but the very best as he is a new lab, relatively speaking. Saliva testing's had its feet held to the fire, and it's been to the anvil. You know, it's been beat on for 30 years. There are 300 at least research papers on saliva testing, and it's now fully sort of vetted, and we know what it does and we know what it doesn't do. So I'm sticking with that for now. Now I've run at least 60 Dutch tests too, so I'm seeing I like the metabolites, I like some of the things, but you can't measure DHEA, you can't measure progesterone in urine, you can't do it. So you have to use algorithm, so like formulas to figure it out. So I think that it's on the right track, and I'd like to see it get the vetting by the scientific community and all this stuff. It's going to have to go through what saliva went through. You know what I mean? It's going to have to have its feet held to the fire and go on the anvil for a while. And in the meantime, you know, if you find it useful, use it. And again, I've run a bunch of them, me and my group, and so maybe more than that now. So that's what I have to say about that. What was the other question?
I think it's worth a mention. There's a lot of questions that came in regards to ordering labs and if we work with practitioners that are not just in the US.
Yeah, you know, as I said, I mean, we're very strong in Canada, Australia, New Zealand, United Kingdom, and we're spreading our wings from there. So, you know, with the issue is shipping. That's all the issue is, shipping. You know, if we can get you the kit, which is easy, I can get you the kits, but getting stool samples back from China, that could be a little problematic. You know, what's this? You know, like you know, there's some problems with that. Also, on some of the blood work that we do that's very advanced, you just can't do it from these other places yet. There's no overnight shipping from Lebanon to the lab in the U.S. That ain't gonna happen. So I'm just saying. So you know, other than that, the philosophy is international and intergalactic, if you will. You know, like our general principles of health being can be used anywhere. You can help people and not run any labs. You know, you can use just the DRESS program. So um, I actually teach that. Not teaching it right now, but you know, the DRESS program is the secret. So you do all this assessment, you go through these labs. There's that intestinal permeability test you were talking about where, you know, you do a lactulose mannitol challenge and the particles, you know, shouldn't get through, but they do. And that is a physical sign um, of intestinal permeability. The problem, and it's cheap, it's a cheap test. Now there's other ways to look for intestinal permeability because it's not just a physical problem. So here you're looking at the physical properties of the gut lining. You're looking at is lactulose being recovered at a high level. Well, that means it's sneaking through because it's a big particle. It doesn't get broken down in digestion, so it shouldn't get through. But when it does, when it's recovered in urine, when it's recovered in urine at a high level, this is a urine test, well, then that means you've got leaky gut, you know, permeability. It doesn't tell you why you have the permeability. It doesn't tell you how much, because permeability is really the immune, it's, you know, the mucosal barrier. You're looking at the immune system is not working and you've loosened up the tight junctures and now big particles are getting through. But I like the cheap, you know, this is a working man's test. It's a matter of fact, it's the only test that existed for a long, long time before some of the newer immunological types of testing came along. So the mannitol, same thing. It's like it's a tiny thing. So if you get too much or too little of that coming through, it tells you something else, maybe about the physicality, you know, the physicality, the shape of the villi. Villi is supposed to be nice little undulating fingers with little hairs on them, you know, and so this allows you to sort of interpret, you know, villus atrophy, blunted brush border, and crypt hyperplasia, things like that. So it requires looking at whose test is this. So you never treat the test result. You look at, does this explain Mrs. Smith or Mr. Jones? Does this explain them? Does this help explain that person and how they're showing up and what's going on with this? And yes, when you use those clinical correlation skills, then this test really means something. And then lactulose to mannitol ratio, it's just one more indicator. If the others two, oops, see, there's my call coming in. Why should, oops, it is 11:30. All right, well, I have to go. I have an appointment, a hard break here. And I didn't mean to really take 90 minutes, but we did. And I'm going to just have to cut it short there. Listen, if you guys want, if you get, you know, we had 1,000 people sign up for this webinar. If you know, you get a good number of people asking for a follow-up Q&A, I'll do it next week. Jessica. So I want you to write everybody who signed up, send out the replay,
Will do.
send out the replay to everybody who signed up, whether they attended or not, and put in a note that, you know, if they want a Q&A, I'll hold another Q&A next week. But the coupon's going to expire on the 31st, no matter what. Okay?
Sounds great, Reed.
All
Thank
right.
you.
I'm sorry I have to go, folks. I love you very much. I want you to join me in the team, and that's all I can say. Jessica, thank you for everything. I'm going to end the webinar. Okay?
Thank you. Yep. Great.
All right.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye. Take care, everybody. Love you.